Well, hello, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Facebook. I'm going to re-record this part because the first 10 seconds or so tends to get chopped. Uh, hello, LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and of course, the ever wonderful LinkedIn. My name is Frank Lavinia. You can check me out at the following URLs: franksworld.com, datadriven.tv, and impactquantum.com. I am here today. I'm in the process of moving, so I'm actually at the old house today, and there's no studio, there's no fancy mic. Just figured I'd do a quick live stream because I love doing live streams. Actually, just got off a strategy meeting that I was presenting at, so I had the nice fancy shirt on and that sort of thing. I went through the trouble of coming up with like cool lighting, so I figured I would do a quick live stream. For some reason, the cool background isn't showing up. Let's see if I can do that background. Ah, there we go. There's my fancy graph background. A couple of things that I think are interesting going on in the world. Well, there's a lot of interesting things going on in the world, but I meant in terms of technology. Let me share my screen and I can do this. There we go. Cool. So I can look this way like the Brady Bunch and like, here's the story. A couple of interesting things. This is kind of, I think, clickbait. The Oculus Quest 2 is one step closer to its death. I don't think they're um, going to kill the entire product. I think that they are rebranding it as part of Meta. And that actually makes sense. I mean, if they're if Facebook is shifting their entire brand over to Metaverse, I think it makes a lot of sense for them to not have Oculus as another brand because most people are like, Oculus, what's that? I think this is um, I don't think they're killing off the Oculus 2 or Quest, whatever they call it, because it's one of the best selling headset, if not the best selling headset, and its price point at about $200 to $300 makes it definitely a far more friendly consumer brand than say some of the other ones that are out there. They're close to $1,000 or in some cases $6,000, which is definitely clearly targeted towards a very niche enterprise market. So that's interesting going on. So I kind of panicked. I was like, no. Um, I actually am presenting tonight. Um, um, it's funny. Um, well, who is this? Tech Radar. Who wrote this? Hamish is not pulling any punches there. That's funny. That made me laugh. That literally made me LOL, and you were there for it. I'm actually moderating a panel discussion now tonight for um, disruptive technologists. I've spoken on other panels before for them, and so I'm excited about that. I'll be talking about, is I forget the exact title of the talk, but it was something to the effect of the metaverse. Is it the next hotness, or is it a big flaming pile of something else? Um, I myself, I keep oscillating which way to like, I've done this for many years, decades, even when it comes to virtual reality. Um, I've been obsessed with kind of the notion of virtual reality since I saw the Lawnmower Man. Even more so when I got on my first hands-on, real hands-on experience of virtual reality. $5 for like a couple-minute ride in a virtual reality environment on South Street Seaport back in the 90s, and playing around with VRML, playing around with Adobe Atmosphere, and most recently with the Oculus Quest, or whatever they're going to end up calling it. Um, there's something there. There's definitely something there. I'm just not sure what it is yet. So it'll be interesting to participate in that discussion tonight. I'm looking forward to that. Another thing that's interesting is you're starting to see quantum stories appearing in more and more mainstream technology outlets. Quantum, I've always believed was very real. Well, not always, but I always knew it was definitely coming. But it's getting realer and realer, or more real and more real every day. So I think that those are two things. All this focus on the Web 3.0 is largely around the metaverse, NFTs, cryptocurrencies. But I think the next phase of innovation in the web, or just technology in general, is the center of gravity, hands down, is going to be quantum computing. I don't think it's going to be VR. I think VR will be a part of it. But if you kind of look at the way I look at the way my kids interact with virtual reality, they don't always use the headset. I got a good story about. Stop me if you heard this one before, but I was playing the Gorilla Tag. Very bizarre game. I'm walking around, and my older kid played it, and my younger kid had seen a YouTube video, so he wanted to play it. So I get it set up for him, and I'm testing it out and whatnot, and it's just weird. Like you play the gorilla, and you're supposed to like do this to kind of like you're rowing, I guess, but to kind of push yourself along. You have no legs in the game, and that's kind of weird enough. But there are other players there, and your microphone is on by default. I couldn't figure out how to turn it off. Maybe they've added that since then. Maybe it's because I had my younger son like, "Can I have it? Can I have it?" And I heard kids cursing on the other line. I was like, "Okay, this totally is not appropriate." But before that, there was some other random person just shoving like a wrench in my face. So I'm trying to walk around like you start off in this treehouse thing inside of a tree, and there's instructions and stuff like that. And there's somebody walking around with a wrench in my face. Like, okay. And I'm like trying to read the sign because it gives you instructions. And the person kept standing, I don't know what it was standing in front of me with a wrench in my face. And I'm like, what is going on? So, um, and if that wasn't weird enough, because that was kind of annoying, um, there was this pink gorilla. And everybody, from what I can tell, was more or less the same color gorilla. I don't know if this was a guide or whatever, but it just didn't talk, and it just looked at me, and it kind of did this hand motioning thing, almost like it was trying to get me to go into a windowless van or something like that. It was very creepy. And then all of a sudden I heard the kids like, cursing and stuff like that because you have live audio, and I'm like, all right, I'm out of this. Um, didn't let my kid play. I'm still kind of the worst dad in the world apparently for that one, but it was just weird. Um, that was I think it might have been the last time I fired up a headset because it's hard when you're moving and stuff like that. Because but in any case, I do believe that VR definitely has a play. There's definitely things in there that I really did enjoy. There was the virtual desktop application where you can kind of project to a movie screen, to a giant TV screen. You can kind of get that experience. That was very cool. I do like kind of the narrative comic book. As they rebranded. It was called Quill or Quick or something like that, where you can kind of be part of these interactive, semi-interactive stories. There's one story about a guy who discovers an old satellite. There's another story where you're kind of in this cyberpunk cafe type thing, and you walk around the alley, or at least look around the alley. It was very cool, and they also have kind of behind the scenes how they made it. I thought that was cool. I think there's definitely a room for interactive storytelling or kind of immersive storytelling. I think that's very real. I personally liked it. The gaming aspect, I'm not so much into. I don't know why. But when I look at my kids, speaking of gaming, they play Roblox a lot. And to them, even though they're not wearing the headset, these virtual spaces that they interact with effectively on a flat plane of glass, to them, those places are just as real world places are to us in our generation. So I would say the metaverse is already here. It's just a question of what's it going to look like. Is it going to be gloves and goggles, as they used to say about VR? Now they have them down the hand controllers, or is it going to be kind of these immersive 3D worlds? I mean, I think the latter. I think is definitely going to have a lot more sway in that. And it all depends on what you're doing. For shopping, one of the things that when the web first came out was this idea that there would be, virtual malls you can walk around and stuff like that. That really hasn't happened, right? I mean, there were some experiments with it, but unless there's value to being in a physical place or virtually physical place, that's an odd oxymoron. Um, what's the point, right? If you're shopping, you want to find what you're looking for, find the category of what you're looking for, and look at alternatives. I think Amazon does this very, very well. Related products, customers also bought that sort of thing. I think I think is kind of, I wouldn't say set in stone, but it's definitely that's the pattern. Will that look different in the metaverse? Would you want to be able to walk around a mall? Even the way the last couple of years have gone, I don't know if does anyone really remember what it is to hang out at the mall or walk around a mall. That having been said, I think the killer app for um, for this is not shopping. I think augmented reality might work with shopping because you can kind of point a camera at something and you can see how clothing will look on you, a shirt or shoes or whatever. That I think could work. Um, you know, Amazon I think already has this feature where you can see what a piece of furniture would look like in your space. I think that is very real. I think that is definitely a serious value add. What I'm not sure about is kind of the um, metaverse usage like you have in that original Neil Stevenson book, Snow Crash. Um, I'm not sure about that yet. Um, it's an excellent book, by the way. Highly recommend it. I'm actually listening to the audio version now. And let's see, if you don't have Audible, you can get an Audible subscription. If you go to thedatadrivenbook.com, routes you to an Audible site, and you'll get one free audiobook. And then if you get a subscription, we Andy and I, will get I don't know, a little bit of coin, maybe enough to get a couple of Powerade bottles. I don't know, maybe a soda, maybe even a cup of coffee at Starbucks. But you can check it out. It's cool. I like the way the production is pretty cool on it. As for me, I got to get going because my instant messages are blowing up. Thanks for joining. I'm getting all kinds of confused because my normal camera placement is usually there, but now I have this set up on a tripod because this monitor is, I'm using one of my wife's monitors, so it's kind of taller than what I'm used to. I'm usually used to the flat kind of 21 by 9s. First world problems, I know, but those have already been moved. So thanks for tuning in. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, or whatever, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, or do whatever it is on your platform of choice. You can check me out on Twitter and Instagram. You can also check out the datachannel.tv, and you have a fantastic day. And I'll roll the closing graphics.